the digital stack. We are coming up with that segment of the session with MUni Campus. The Seagull, how this will help, or the MUni assessment platform can help you in this complete process of identifying the best of the brain. So this is the quick agenda for this session that what we are coming up today, this evening. So these are the excellent esteemed panelists and the speakers what we have today on board. So Dr. Abhijit Gangopadhyay, who is the Dean of Aegis, and unfortunately, sir is not able to join the session because some tragedy had happened. I mean, some casualty had happened in his family and friends. So, but we have other panelists with us, like Dr. Vinay Kulkarni is with us. So he's the director for Aegis. Also, he's the adjunct professor at IIT Bombay. Also, he takes care of various subjects at Aegis, like he mentors the individuals for projects as well. He takes care of the subjects like statistics, Hadoop, and Spark as well. We have with us Mr. Bhupesh Dahiria on board. So he is the CEO and the managing trustee for the Aegis, under which he is running the Aegis School of Data Science and Cybersecurity, and the director for MUni Campus. And we have with us Mr. Abhay Sharma. So he has overall 20 years of experience. He is the partner and practitioner, lead practitioner with data platform services at IBM. So these are the quick brief about the panelists. Also, we have with us Ms. Nitya Bhalla. She has overall 18 years of experience in research and analytics, work in different work together. Currently, she is working as a product design lead with Asia, entire Asia, in Nielsen IQ. We have this Sushil Tanna. So he is currently the VP Performance Engineering at Limited. Overall, 18 plus experience he has got in setting up the IT and the services. End-to-end processes he's taking care of. We have with us Ms. Taranjeet Kaur Oberoi. She heads the complete placements at Aegis School. And she has with Aegis since the inception of this program that we are offering. And there are various programs that we offer through which we are helping him for the organizations in terms of providing them with the best of the brains, the best of the talents who are absolutely doing amazingly well in the industries. We have with us Virendra Pal, so one of our proud alumni. So he is working as a Chief Innovative and Analytics Officer in SME Corporate. More than 12 plus years of experience he has got across the verticals, across the industries. He has worked on various AI, ML, neural networks, NLP, and all these technologies he has worked upon. So these are, again, a very warm welcome to our entire panelists who are with us on board. And so a quick brief about before we start off, and I'll leave it that virtual dais to all of the speakers, the esteemed speakers with us. A quick brief about Aegis, who we are, what we do. I'll give a quick brief about that. So at Aegis is a journey to prepare an institution. And we are an autonomous college, just like in which we provide various programs in masters in data science or AI, in cybersecurity, all these disruptive technologies we provide the master's program in. So we started our journey in the year 2002 with the support of Bharti Airtel. And that was the same time when the disruption was happening in telecom management. Most of us, we have seen that. And that was a time two major collaborations had happened in India, one with IIT Delhi and Aegis Mumbai. And that time, Sunil Bharti Mittal, he himself supported IIT Delhi and Aegis. And we started at that time Asia's only master's program in telecom management. Almost 7 years back when IBM, they came and they joined hands with us. With IBM, though they are the leaders in that segment in cloud computing and cyber and big data vertical. So they joined hands with us, and with them we have established Aegis and IBM business analytics, cloud computing, and cybersecurity labs. And it's been almost 7 years now. We have been offering and we have rolled out Asia's only master's program in data science in association with IBM. And since then, we are producing the data scientists and filling up the gap in the industries for those right talent which industries they are looking forward to. We have also curated Data Science Congress. Most of the individuals from the industry, they must be very much aware about that. It's a conglomerate of all the huge gathering of the select CIOs, 3 to 4 days event that Data Science Congress is. We have also host Asia's only one of the largest recognition award, innovation award, that is known as Oscars in Innovation, Aegis Gramble Award. These are the few, a quick brief about Aegis, who we are, what we do. These are the quick academia collaboration that we had over the past few years. IBM, as I mentioned, with them we have established these labs altogether. NVIDIA, they also joined hands with us. UBTech, they joined hands with us. UBTech, they're known for one of the largest leaders in robotics and computer vision based company. Amazon Web Services, they join hands with us in terms of bridging the gap in demand and supply, which is coming up because of the data science crunch, what we have seen over the past couple of decades almost. So now these are the programs what we have rolled out. Quick brief, I'll give you just a quick touch up upon that. So we started rolling out these programs, which is Asia's only master's program, which is a full-time postgraduate program in data science, business analytics, and big data, which we offer in association with IBM. It's a full-time on-campus program, but due to this pandemic, we have started this live interactive mode of delivery so that the learning would not hamper and the individuals, they will not lose up their time and their effort, and they can continue with the live interactive, these programs that we are offering. Another program, considering that security is the major challenge for most of the organizations, it's been almost 4 years. We have rolled out this master's program, postgraduate program in cybersecurity. That program, again, we have started offering in association with IBM. Both models are available full-time as well as online live interactive mode of delivery is available. Another program that we have launched that is absolutely catering the requirement for those who are looking forward to make their career in AI or machine learning. So it's a postgraduate program in applied AI, machine learning, and deep learning we offer in association with IBM. And also soon we are ready to launch another program, which is a full-time postgraduate program in full stack development in association with IBM. It's a quick brief about the programs we are offering. And this is the reason we am telling you all this, because these are the programs through which we are providing the right skills for the organizations who are looking forward to develop the AI talent to their organizations. So that's all from the Aegis point of view, and I'll leave the entire virtual dais to our esteemed panelists for today's discussion. Over to you, Mr. Dharia. Please, thank you so much for joining us, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritin. Thank you so much for setting up the context. Please stop sharing the screen. And good evening, all the panelists, esteemed panelists, my friends, fellow students, and all the delegates. Good evening and welcome to this series on how to hire, develop talent in AI and data science. And all of us, we are aware in last couple of years, rather in 5-6 years, we have started seeing that there is a war, extensive war for a talent, and specifically in this exponential technology era. And the countries, societies, organizations that are going to really nurture the talent, that are going to really find the talent, that are going to really build skills, are going to be clear-cut winners. Right? Of course, the tension which is there between China and US and India and China, and one of the major reasons which has emerged is basically war of AI, war of data. It's not only data is the new oil, right? There are a lot of challenges how we are going to really find and make gold out of this oil. If you really see by the statistics, McKinsey has predicted that AI economy is going to be more than $15 trillion, which is combined GDP of China and India. And that's the kind of impact it is going to really win. And that's the reason we are saying that if you really see last, say, 50, 60 years technological advancement, we have never seen such a mad rush for the talent acquisition and skill acquisition among, say, across the world, right? And India, we can proudly say that India has emerged as one of the top 3 destinations in terms of building up skills, right? And I still remember that it was not long back, it was just hardly 5 years, 6 years back in 2015. And that time there was no single institution in data science in India. And we took a bold move and we started Asia's first, not only in India, Asia's first postgraduate program in data science. And we married with IBM. And we are proud that we produce very healthy babies and those who are fueling this AI and data science economy. And I'm glad that one of our proud alumni, Virendra, is also here, which is really contributing in growth of economy. With this context, Ritin has already set up the agenda. Now we are going to really discuss about the various aspects that what are the challenges in terms of really fulfilling this dream of building up an AI in data science team. And I have with me a lot of experts from academia and industry, and they're going to really share their perspective, how they're building up, how they're nurturing. And there are a lot of challenges. One of the challenge which I have saw just 2 hours back, somebody has posted on LinkedIn that people are asking for, say, 7 years of experience in TensorFlow, and TensorFlow was born in 2015, right? And it's just 2 hours back, right? And people are really disgusted that what kind of unrealistic expectations are, right? So there are so many other challenges which we are going to really address. How to really assess, right? There are so many courses, thousands of courses people are really acquiring. There is no consensus, single consensus that what should be called as a data scientist and who should be engineer, who should be AI engineer, right? Where the line draws between business analyst and data scientist. And these are the questions, and millions of people are asking these questions on various YouTubes. We are going to really address some of them, or perhaps most of them. And to so what we are going to really do, Dr. Kulkarni, our director, is going to really give a 10-minute presentation, and that will really set up the context, and then we'll have the free-flowing panel discussions. And after that, at the end, Taranjeet is going to really do the closing remark, and she will offer you the concrete solution beyond the philosophy, that how she can really give you the ready talent, and she can really help you building up the talent. So over to you, Dr. Kulkarni, before we really jump on the panel discussion.
Thank you, Bhupesh. Thank you, Ritin. Thanks for setting the context. I just want to ensure that I'm audible. You can hear me clearly.
Yes, so, you're clearly audible,
okay,
sir.
This is the protocol that we need to follow these days. The first thing is like mantra. Am I audible clearly? Am I visible clearly? And so on. I would actually like to latch on to one of the points that you just mentioned, Bhupesh, and that is someone asking for, let us say, 7 years, 8 years, or 10 years experience in TensorFlow. Okay. That basically explains the fact, or brings out the fact that the understanding about the field itself is kind of developing in the industry. And this I'm saying not only based on what you just said, but also based on personal experience of having worked with a couple of industries, implementing many of these technologies and so on. Okay. Really speaking, when you talk about developing talent or hiring talent, whether it is AI or machine learning or data science or big data, what you want to call it, let us worry about that slightly later on. Okay. But the first question is that where are you on this journey? Okay. So in my understanding, companies are at various stages in this journey down the path of, let us call it as, these new technologies. And also how broadly they understand the technology and what is possible using these technologies, right? So of course, the first thing one needs to have is a business problem that one needs to solve, right? Many a times companies, start off by saying that I have data, tell me what I can do. Okay, now that's starting at the wrong end, absolutely. The first and foremost thing to do is what is the problem that we want to solve and how is it related to the business context, right? This is important for a couple of reasons, because if you don't have this focus, then very soon the entire effort or initiative fizzles out, because then the management loses interest and you do not have concrete outcomes that you can demonstrate for getting further budget allocation and for getting further project sanction, right? So what kind of talent you need basically depends on where you are in the journey. So, based on my understanding, there are many companies who are just about starting and exploring the field. Obviously, there could be in these companies people who understand the technology very well. Let us keep them aside. But sizably big companies who are working in traditional areas. I'm talking about manufacturing and so on. Uh, they would first like to understand what is there in these areas. Okay, and they may want to do some pilots, in which case the kind of talent that they are looking for is a person or a set of person or a very small team that is highly capable, who will hack their way through the woods, so to speak. So it will not be specifically a statistics oriented person or a machine learning oriented person or just a full stack developer, but maybe a combination of all of these talents would be required in such companies, right? They would have small pilot projects in place, and their main goal is to identify a business problem that can be taken up as a demonstrator, and using the talent. Now the question that comes up here is whether you use internal talent or you hire talent from outside. Now that is a secondary question, because uh, you need people who understand or who have gone through a formal training uh, about all these technologies. Now that is very essential. I will also touch upon this slightly later, right? So we have the companies who are just starting their journey, who would kind of need some kind of all-rounders to be able to hack their way through the woods, right? Uh, the next set of companies are those who have tasted successes, who are able to demonstrate certain pilot projects, and who would now like to take on real big business challenges, right? Now here, the important skill set that the person needs to have is, of course, understanding of the domain. That is the first and foremost thing, which turns out very difficult in the long run. It's not, AI and machine learning and implementation of these in specific products and services is not just mathematics. It does require understanding of the domain. And sometimes that is the most difficult skill set to have, right? So you would need a person who understands the domain very well and able to formulate major problems or identify problems that are critical from the business point of view, and then drive the entire initiative with the help of a set of people who could then be specialists in specific areas, like people who are well versed with statistics, machine learning, or even let us say what we call as full stack developers, right? So that is the second rung of company. The third rung of companies are established companies who are really looking at this from a long-term perspective. Okay, they have tasted blood, so to speak. They have tasted success, and they would like to have a long-term strategy in place. And for these companies, the big question is make or buy. Obviously, from a very strategic point of view, they would prefer nurturing internal talent, maybe send these a set of people for formal training in these technologies, uh, in short courses and so on, and then put them on a path of long-term implementation of products and services which they would then like to offer to the market, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that what kind of talent you are looking for basically depends on uh, where in the journey you are, and this is applicable to both. I understand that there would be people from both sides of the table as part of this audience. So to the aspiring, data scientists or data professionals, as well as the recruiters. Okay. Uh, from a very long-term perspective, the big question is make or buy, right? In this context, hire from outside or develop internally. Okay. Like I just mentioned, maybe in the early stages, it makes sense to take help from outside. Now, whether we like it or not, what has happened in the last 1 year has created a new breed of professionals, those who are available part-time. Okay. people have migrated to different areas of the country and they would like to work from there and offer themselves to multiple organizations. I offer their skill sets to multiple organizations. So I just read a report a couple of days back I think it was in Economic Times, that a large number of Indians apparently are looking for job changes. And many of them are also upskilling. And the first couple of items in this upskilling list invariably belongs to AI, ML, cybersecurity, and so on. So you know what is happening out there in the market. So for all those who are wanting to recruit in the next couple of months, perhaps maybe in the next 10, 11 months, you will have a new breed of people available who are not full-time job seekers, but many part-time job seekers who are willing to work with multiple companies on multiple projects, bringing their skill set. The advantage with these people is not only will they have AI and ML specific skills, but perhaps they will also carry years of experience with them and domain knowledge, which is a combination that is very much essential in this area. Okay, so the landscape probably is going to change. So both for educators, maybe they'll have they'll be faced with the challenge of training all such people, and from the recruitment point of view, they will probably have a bonanza. Okay. The final point that I would like to make is, with all these people and so many people trying to enter the field, there is likely to be a glut. If not already, there is a glut. Okay. I come in and claim that I'm an ML expert or an AI expert, right? And from the companies who want to hire talent, their point of view, identifying the adults from the children is a daunting task. So the big question that they have to ask themselves is, how do we really identify genuine talent? How do we ensure that the person that we are recruiting has really burnt his or her fingers trying to implement live projects, and really has done the job that he or she has claims to have done. So that is one of the big challenge that is going to be out there, which has to be really given a serious thought. Okay. Not only the knowledge of tools and techniques is important, but acquired skills in terms of quickly understanding the problem and scouting around for the best solutions to solve these problems is important, right? So it's not that a person has spent 10, 11 months or 1 year or 2 years going through a course, coming out of the course and say that, okay, I know ML, I know AI, right? You may have learned number of regression techniques and decision trees and so on and so forth. But what about the new techniques that are getting developed by the day? Okay, the real skill that a person needs to have, and which the recruiters need to look out for, is how capable is a person to match the requirements of the problem that he or she has identified with the techniques and the tools that are getting developed around us, at a very fast rate. Okay, so it's not just knowledge that the person already has, but how well the person is able to apply this so-called meta knowledge, the ability to understand a new technique and implement a new technique. That would probably be also very important as one goes forward. Okay. So in summary, what I have covered is the journey of a company is important. The stage in the journey is important because the kind of talent that the company would look for would depend on what stage the company is in. The quality that one needs to look for in a person is not just what the person already knows, but how well can the person cope with newer problems and newer techniques that are coming out in the market, and how does one identify all these qualities in a person. Okay, so Bhupesh, I think I would like to stop at this and let the others
So,
contribute.
sir, you have really raised a very valid point that before we actually jump and dive down and try to define what is data scientist and hiring AI engineers, data engineers, it's very important to really understand what is use case, right? And do you really have the data to really answer the questions, right business questions which you're asking. And I remember one of the consulting assignment which we were doing with a leading ISP in India. And when they came with a lot of fancy questions. They wanted to really hire data scientists. And when we really uh, took a deep dive, we realized that most of the questions cannot be answered because they don't have the data, right? And they don't need a full stack data scientist. Perhaps what they needed is a data engineer to build the data infrastructure, because once you, if you don't have the data, you cannot do the churn prediction, because they wanted to really do the churn prediction. We built the data infrastructure, and then after that we did the visualization. So they needed a Tableau engineer to do the visualization even before they needed a machine learning guy. And once we built the data infrastructure in cloud, we did the churn prediction project after 6 months, right? So you're right, sir, that yes, you need to really understand at what stage you are there. uh, Now, Abhay, you, since you're managing projects across the world and you have handled pretty large clients, and I'm sure day and night you must be facing with this challenge of hiring the right talent, nurturing it, providing it to the client. How you are actually managing it? How you're identifying the adult from the kids?
It's a problem I sleep with, yeah, and wake up with. Okay. Right now, I mean, we have never seen this type of talent crunch in the industry for, at least in my career, I've never seen. There was a time maybe 20, 22 years back when SAP was just getting started and all the companies were on a mad rush to implement ERP for productivity gains. After that, this is the time when like each and every company want to do something on AI ML. Yeah, I don't know what, as Dr. Kulkarni was saying, but yeah. But I mean, there are another perspective, right? So, see, in IBM, we work with large enterprises, really large enterprises, and there's no dearth of data. The challenge for them is data is lying in multiple places, multiple different departments, multiple different organization, line of business, and the value can only come out if you integrate that entire workflow end to end, right, by applying AI. So that's where they struggle. I mean, okay, so let me just share a few use cases. I think that will make it easier for everybody to understand what I'm talking about. Say, for example, a company like a telecom company, right? So they have a call center, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people managing their call center. The amount of calls going to them is phenomenal. Now, if we can apply AI by bringing something in between, which can recognize the voice, recognize the customer, recognize customer past problem, understand its profile, predict what is going to be his question, and help, right? Then what you're doing in between is you're bringing technology, you're bringing in automation, you're bringing in AI, each understanding, yeah, understanding of the text if they're coming via chatbot and all. And you are reducing the amount of money that company has to spend on keep on hiring and expanding their call center. So that's a huge benefit we are talking about. I mean, for a company who's taking maybe a million call, there are AI-based solution we do for them, which help them reduce their million calls to hardly 100,000 or 200,000. Yeah, so that's 80% benefit we are talking about in reducing the number of calls. Huge saving for them. That's one use case. I'll come to the solution part later on and the challenges, but let me share another use case. For example, in wealth management in private banking, right? So, a wealth management advisor who serves high value clientele, and for him, he needs to remain updated where to make investment every day morning, what advice he can give to his high investment client. He need to go through multiple journal, multiple website, everything, do multiple read through research analyst. I mean, all those things you need to read through. Can he really do that and come out with a clear recommendation for his client? No, he might be missing out on making more money for his clientele. That's where again you can apply the big data and AI ML technology for managing the unstructured data coming from multiple sources, gleaning intelligence out of it, and also making recommendation where to make the investment for a particular day, for a short term, long term, and all those things. Right? So it's a huge benefit for a very, very high value segment, not only for the that particular wealth manager and his client. That's in the banking space. Similarly, I mean, there are a number of applications. Insurance, for example, again, a large team of underwriter keep on doing the underwriting for the risk, right? So they also need to go through so many documents, really identify the risk profile, and charge the risk premium accordingly. How can AI help them? There again, you have technologies available. You can apply your data science skill, insurance domain knowledge, and build out solutions and application which can help those underwriters really understand the risk well. They can reduce the risk premium and start selling more policy. So it's a huge benefit again for those insurance companies. They get more clientele if their premiums are competitive, and they're able to reduce the cost of increasing their underwriting team one after another. Yeah. So, these use cases, I'm sure will get you thinking, right? This is how AI is actually applied in industry. And now what it takes is, you can think of everything. That's the expectation. But the way we do business, scale the team and the skills and technology is basically we identify in people in segments, different segments. People who are good in data management, both structured and unstructured, not only managing the data, but also making the data readily available with proper taxonomy, proper business classification for the data scientists so that they can build the model. Then comes the data scientist. When they're building the models, they only train based on the data available to us. To support them, we bring in another set of domain experts who keep identifying the bias in the data. Because if there's a bias in the data, the model is biased. You are rejecting loan application without even thinking through why it's actually getting rejected, right? There is a huge requirement for industry to understand the explainability of the entire model end to end. What the model is basically, which data it has taken, what type of parameter attribute it is taking for making recommendations. Then there are ML ops engineers who will deploy those models. And then there are data ops people, and there are a number of different skills needed, right? So we bucket them based on their strengths so that they can go deeper and deeper. Technology keeps on changing. What we look for is the people learnability and attitude. Those are the two things. Because otherwise data science itself is a theory. The only way you can apply it if you have those attitude, understanding of business, understanding of the domain, yeah, learnability attitude, because some or other technology, some or other algorithm, new APIs will keep on coming. If you have those neck, you will have a longevity in the industry and you can keep on learning and doing new stuff. Yeah. So that's the approach we take.
Oh, Abhay, pretty good insight which you have given. So, since you have a large client and large client do not have the data infrastructure data problem, and if you have to really hire one person that has to be a unicorn data scientist, so you break down the job and you hire multiple, say, superheroes to really perform that task, and that's a good strategy. Now, I will come back to you to really learn from you that how do you really define the each task, and based on each task, how do you really come down to the JD, which will go to the HR so that they don't release the unrealistic JDs out there in the market, and eventually you don't get those kind of feedbacks on LinkedIn. I'll come back to you, Abhay, and just hold with the thought. Sushil, you have been recruiting from Aegis, and glad that you're here. But I would like to throw a couple of questions on you. That while Abhay has also talked about that, yes, uh, you actually define the problem, you take the project and break down into multiple pieces. Uh, Now, how do you really go on this journey of identifying the talent, whether to really hire the talent from inside or outside or build the skills, right? What has been your experience?
Sure. Hi. Good evening, Bhupesh. Good evening, everyone. Hi. So it's a very good question, Bhupesh, and honestly, we have done a lot of variations in this in that approach. One is basically we try to build in-house talent. We've tried hiring consultants. We have tried outsourcing bits and pieces of work and all of that. The challenge is, it's not about. So when someone comes to me and says he is an expert in data science or he is an expert in AI ML and all, I take it with a pinch of salt. uh, Simply because what I look for, the wow factor for me is like what Dr. Kulkarni was saying earlier, is the domain. For me, that is the most important thing. Because if you understand the domain well, you understand the data for that particular problem. If I tell you we are going to solve a use case which is based on GST, okay, the goods and service taxes. Now, if you don't understand how GST works in the first place, you don't understand the data. See, the behind the scenes talent for writing Python code and all of that, that is something which I think is a given thing right now. That is something, there's a huge number of people who can write good code in Python. They understand how to do all the processing, write models. In fact, when Dr. Kulkarni was talking about a lot of competition, I will say there's competition not only from human beings, right? There's a lot of students who are doing. In fact, I get so many offers to learn data science myself. It's quite tempting. So a lot of people are doing data science nowadays. It's not only about people, but look at the platforms. They are also becoming intelligent. So I don't need to know data science to be using data science. What I mean by that is there are a lot of self-serving data science platform in the first place. So if I have some data available with me, I just plug it into a platform like any of this. IBM will have it. Microsoft has it.
Data robot is there.
Exactly, plenty of platforms. It will not only parse data, it will come up with all sort of features which are important for you. It will tell you which model to use. It will come up with the accuracy numbers, all of that. So you don't have to spend time, effort, anything on the building of the model piece. What you have to spend time on is understanding what it is talking about in the first place. What is the story that is coming out? What is it that I'm going to tell my customer? What is the action item he is supposed to take based on the data? Now, this is where I need talent. That is where I understand. I want people who understand domain. If they understand domain, they can talk with conviction. This is what I want you to do in the first place. It's not my model. It's me who is telling you based on the inputs from the model. So for me, Bhupesh, honestly speaking, the wow factor is if someone tells me I have this expertise in banking, I have expertise in lending, I have expertise in insurance, whatever, fine. And then if that delta which comes up is okay, I can write a Python code also, I can do this as well, I can create a model also. And then I can create another wow factor is I can create a story out of it. Right. What needs to be done. So all of those talents is what needs to be looked at, and for me it's not about just writing Python code. I don't know if I'm making my point clear over here, Bhupesh.
No, it certainly makes sense. It certainly makes sense. So machines cannot think, right? Contrary to the AI definition that machines can think. Sir, please go ahead.
I could not help but in here, one point which Sushil mentioned, re-emphasizing the aspect of domain. In fact, many a times I encounter students who have taken up data science because of the jazz. Okay, they want to be called as data scientists or data engineers, and they want to ditch their earlier experience. So my advice to all such students have been, you can't be more stupider than that. Remove that thought from your mind. The 10 and 12 years of experience that you have actually counts more than the skill set that you would acquire by doing any of the courses. So position yourself as maybe a project manager who understands very well machine learning, or position yourself as a domain expert who knows how to deal with machine learning, how to talk machine learning. And then, you will get the money that you want, not if you position yourself as a data scientist or a data analyst, pure play with only mathematics behind you. Won't help.
Bang on, Doc. Bang on. Absolutely.
No, so there you, Dr. Kulkarni, Sushil, you actually pointed a very apt thing that domain knowledge is important, right? Because the data itself cannot really think. One of my students was sharing his story that when he joined a company, his boss told him that, gentleman, here is the data. You go through this data and tell me what this data is telling, right? And he didn't give him a problem. He said, okay, go ahead, read this data, come up what you can do. And if you cannot come up with the right questions, right inside, better put up your job, better put up your papers. And fortunately, he could read the data, right? So data will not think itself. That's all. Yeah, okay, you wanted to speak something.
Go ahead.
No, Abhay, you wanted to speak something.
Please.
Yeah, yeah. All see, listening to Sushil and everybody, one thing is very clear. Again, I'm telling you with the experience, what we are seeing in every project, every engagement, and the type of talent we have is uh, data scientist as a word is completely misunderstood. Yeah, it's just a starting point. I mean, you have a domain knowledge. You're coming from different background, maybe psychology, sociology, mathematics, statistics, engineering, right? All those background, everything helps. But the understanding and appreciation of technology, if it is not there, you will never be able to come out with a solution.
Right.
We'll always be doing the POCs, whereas what customers are looking for is something which can be deployed and give quick return.
Right.
That marriage of IT and that knowledge of data science, right? That is
Yeah.
the key, is what we always look for. I mean, if you're creating something which is non-deployable in a small set of data, no use. Even if you can create something which say 10% benefit, I am fine with that because company would also like to implement it, right? It has to be implementable. Appreciation of the underlying IT, how it will get deployed, and the overall TCO of that solution with the business case what you have. So
Yeah.
that is something is really, really critical for people to understand. It's not only about doing the prediction model or yeah, anomaly detection, supervised unsupervised. It's much
That's
more.
where Abhay, this full stack data scientist, which is kind of a elusive concept, which is coming and playing a role. But of course, you don't. If you don't have the full stack data scientist, you will really have the different pieces, right? Because just a recommender system, I always tell my student this naked code of recommender system which you have written in Python is of no value, right? It's
Correct.
completely no value until unless you show the magic to the customer that this recommender system is working in a mobile app or a web app, right? And that's what the end customer is going to really appreciate. Your
Correct.
organization is a middleware, right?
Yeah,
They would
you're right.
like to see the magic of that, and that's a fantastic point. Coming back on this point, Sushil and Dr. Kulkarni, domain knowledge, there is a contrary view as well, which this Kaggle founder has said, and there are cases wherein deep learning is also playing a role. And I have seen one of the fantastic model. So Dr. Geeta and Dr. Manish Gupta is now director with Google Research. He was with IBM Research, and in between Dr. Manish Gupta, he was with Xerox. So Manish and Dr. Geeta, we are working on a project for breast cancer prediction. And they have invited Dr. Gangopadhyay and me, and I think 4 years back, we were in the Xerox lab in Bangalore. And they were working on a project for breast cancer prediction. And neither Dr. Manish Gupta understand nor Dr. Geeta understand what leads to cancer. They had no domain understanding, and we visited their lab. They had actually hired a cancer specialist, an oncologist, and he was giving them the inputs on what parameters and what leads to cancer and what doesn't lead to the cancer. And eventually, they built this model, and Dr. Geeta launched a company called Niramai, which is based out of Bangalore. And this company is quite successful, and they have built a solution for breast cancer prediction. They've won a couple of awards. They raised last year around $6.5 million funding, doing tremendously good work. So since those folks, those who are aspiring data scientists and they don't have the domain knowledge, uh, acquiring a deeper domain knowledge, like I worked in telecom, right? I can't really, with full confidence, I can really say that I understand the domain because each telecom company, the data is different. And if you really go on the core, the column header, what column header the database designer has written, he only understand, right? So you have to really seek his help. And the things are changing so fast. So it
Absolutely.
also need to be taken with pinch of salt and deep learning. The blessing is that it is also doing the say feature engineering itself and removing the human biases and human understanding. But we can't really neglect the fact that today the way the data science is, you require critical thinking and you also require a massive domain knowledge to ask the right questions. And as Abhay said, this need to be deployed. Coming to Virendra, that you must be juggling with this whole issue about how do you really identify the talent, from where you hire the talent, where you'll get, right? Because there's so much of talent which is coming on Kaggle and Coursera or edX, online platform, like hundreds of courses have launched. Civil engineer, mechanical engineer, BCom, everybody is learning. Experienced kids, parents. So I feel like wherein the kid is also learning and father is also learning. Both are in the same class, right? So how you're managing? So there is a surplus of talent, so-called talent, but still there is a scarcity of the talent.
Right. So, at beginning, Dr. Kulkarni said that genuine talent, right? To identifying the genuine talent is really challenge, because if you see CV given by any candidate, whether it's a 2-year experienced person or 5-year experienced person or 10-year experienced person, you will see people will write CNN, RNN, LSTM, all deep learning algorithm they will write all statistical thing. And then it's become really difficult to understand whether this person knows this thing or not. Okay. And then it creates a lot of confusion because some people would not be able to write the right project descriptions. And if you go by CV, sometimes what happens, a genuine candidate with a good knowledge, you will be rejecting the CV. A person with a right knowledge, not a great knowledge, you will accept the CV and you will interview, and end of the day, you'll feel that you have wasted your 1 hour time. So the most important thing which I have realized, you should look for an institute who have actually proven their worth in the market by creating a right, data scientist who is there in the market for some time. So hiring the intern, okay, and that intern should have done relevant project which you need. So if you need someone who is working on analytics and predictive modeling, so that intern should have worked in the capstone project. That kind of skills should be there with that intern. Person should have that kind of knowledge. And if you are looking something in deep learning or unstructured data, if you want to do something on object detection or image segmentation, that do not require a lot of domain knowledge, but that definitely require good amount of deep learning knowledge. So if person is very versed with deep learning concepts. So this is nowadays a lot of cheat sheets are available over the web. Okay, and many students who comes in the interview go for the cheat sheets. Yeah. But this is not a right way to do it, because eventually if you crack the interview using the cheat sheet, but you will not be able to solve the problem. So I generally what I take the I try to give some of the application of the algorithm kind of question to the student, so that they try to solve that. For example, if I have to ask someone about bubble sorting, right? Can you write this code from scratch? That means you understand the algorithm rather than finding out the package over the Python or R and do the problem. So this is some of the strategy which I follow. Go for the good institute who have created a good data scientist. Go for the genuine candidate who could solve the problem given by you. That application of algorithm should be there. And most importantly, the person should have deployed the project. If you are looking for the senior data scientist person, should have deployed 5 to 6 relevant projects in his area, because he might have worked in many projects. Okay, he experimented something over the Kaggle, but that doesn't going to help us. Something in production is actually I look for, and that's actually helping me.
Well, Viren, it is quite helpful, right? And you completely nailed it. Now, what is happening that people have downloaded cheat sheets are available. They're doing the project. The project codes is also available in GitHub, right? And sometimes what I also have seen on the recruiter side, which is a great challenge, that since the technology is growing so fast, you actually carried away with these fancy terms like CNN, RNN, and all those deep learning, which even recruiters don't understand. I remember in 2015, one of the recruiter came and said, "Sir, tell me what I have to ask from your student." But I think we have passed that phase. Recruiters have also became intelligent, but there is a cognitive bias which Dr. Gangopadhyay, he is not here, but he would have told you. Interview is one of the most stupid way of hiring a candidate, because you ask the questions for which you know the answer, right? And that is the biggest cognitive trap which you really fall into, right? But in a real life, you have to really answer the questions for which you don't know the answers, right? And you try to really hire the mirror. But what Abhay has also pointed out, that the explainability of the machine learning algorithms and work you are doing is also critical, and that actually forces you to go deeper into the algorithms or the concept which you are applying. And that basically algorithms are nothing but the bunch line of mathematics which you need to really understand. And that's where we at Aegis has taken a leap, and we said, okay, you are not going to really just apply the algorithm based on the cheat sheet. You need to really understand the mathematics behind most of the algorithm. Of course, complex algorithm, it is extremely difficult to understand the mathematics, but most of the algorithm you need to really know so that you can really explain, right? Uh, so these are the critical challenges that how do we really identify, and Virendra, you have rightly pointed out, identify the good institution, those who are actually grooming candidates, not on the shortcut path, but building up the foundations right from brick by brick, mathematics, domain, code, machine learning algorithms, and deploying it on the cloud, right? And which is the most important. Not everybody will be comfortable, but I think if you really stretch, and I'm glad and proud that most of our students has been able to really deploy those projects on cloud. Recently, two teams, they won Aegis Graham Bell Award, and one of the team has deployed a project of finding auto car detection, right? And which is essentially important for identifying the insurance, right? And they have deployed it on the cloud, right? Two students, they are BCom, and they have developed a project which is typically auto cricket commentary, right? And they have also deployed it. One of the students, she is a BCom student, and I was so happy last 6 months back, she wrote me that, sir, just open this site, GeoMart, and this recommender system I have built. And I felt so happy that being a BCom student, she could really build and do this complex machine learning stuff. Now, coming back to Nitya, you you're working with Nielsen, and Nielsen is not into very fancy ideas of AI and other stuff, but you do the real insight work, right? You're close to the business outcomes. How you have been managing this challenge of hiring the talent, grooming them, right? And preparing Nielsen, which is a traditional analytics company, to the modern data science and AI journey.
I think there is a lot of myths to be broken here. Yeah. So I think we have moved a lot over the past couple of years. Okay. And I don't think there's a choice. And COVID has only just made us realize that whatever we are doing, we need to do at, in the fourth gear, if I were to use it, phase. So, we are basically a information services company. We sell data,
Right.
and we sell every day there are it's I don't know which peta, ziga, gita, wherever you want to reach. That's the level we have reached, because every day we kind of measure what is being sold across 300,000 stores globally, across the innumerable chains, across I don't know, the millions and millions of SKUs that are getting kind of tracked. In that context, us not going on the AI ML route is simply not possible.
Right.
So we deploy it starts with as simple as when we collect data in the handheld, it automatically picks up, okay, if the field officer is coding something, it will automatically fill up the text. So right from natural language processing, the entire it will compare the trends of the past, which is using augmented, it just uses machine learning there to understand whether your trends are in sync or not. So I think the Nielsen that was there 10, 15 years back versus the Nielsen now, we use image recognition for and OCR. I think they are plain vanilla. CNN is plain vanilla. It's there in our products because you can't live without it. They are like table stakes. Okay. So I think we've come a long way in terms of actually deploying AI ML across. We now have the largest, if I were to say, data scientist pool. I think a big hub in Chennai, which is into, it's called our Chennai Tech Hub, which has about 400 people. We have a big data science, and that's where you will have a mix of. So there's the data engineer kind, full stack engineer kind, which is in Chennai, and you will have the data scientist plus statistics guy, which is based in Bangalore and Baroda, wherein you will have both your um, simple statistics to analytics, to forecasting, to the advanced, which I would say machine learning, and the higher order of machine learning. So that's where it is evolved in multiple stages. We have separate teams, and the way we kind of go about. So if I were to talk about our talent hiring journey or our journey, uh, because we had a lot of statisticians, it started with training them. Okay. And then when we started expanding, it started with building or buying, So, and we went with buying more at the junior level because we didn't want domain, we could teach domain. We wanted people who would know the code behind it, right? Who could write the code for us. So we started a long, like at least 5-6 years back, and I think now it's only fast tracking further. So our journey has been pretty different, if I were to say, as compared to many of the other companies. And we have more of and the way we kind of hire. So we have this pool of campuses that we go to. That is one thing that is really important. We have a rich source of written that the candidate needs to clear. Okay, so if it's a junior level position, then it's more about giving a written exam, going through it. We give some projects. Can you do it? That is the way we kind of go about it. Okay. But the most important thing finally we get into is attitude. Does the person have the right attitude or not? You can teach a person's skill, you can teach programming, you can teach whatever, but if the person doesn't have the right attitude, you can't do anything about it. So I think that is what we ultimately look at. But I think that's been our journey on, if I were to say, hiring. And it varies. The degree of intensity of statistics, machine learning, AI, CNN elements required varies depending upon the team you join. So if you join the tech hub, there is a particular skill to look at. Whereas if you join the product design team, which is my team, there's a different skill. You need to know what you can do with it rather than actually writing a code about it. Right. Whereas if you join, the design team, then you actually need to write the code. So there are different nuances and different skill set levels, and therefore, I think all which everybody said plays a role, but at different levels. I think that is where I would leave it at.
No, wonderful, Nitya. It's glad to know that how Nielsen as a analytical consulting company has transformed into like AI company, and you have automated the entire manual data capturing process as an automated process. It's amazing. And our student tell the entire grilling process they have to undergo through the Nielsen interview and the recruitment process. Virendra, you wanted to add some point, please.
Yeah, so I have been, in past I have been working with Nielsen also, so I know what internally goes on, what kind of algorithm they work. So just wanted to make one thing very clear that Nielsen has very sophisticated way to work over statistics. Some of the algorithm like genetic algorithm or multi-column Markov chain simulation, all those things are very pretty advanced. It's not known to outside world. But CNN, RNN came 2 year, 3 year back. But the way Nielsen uses the genetic algorithm to create the survey, to create, choice modeling, all those things, it's really pretty advanced. And very few people nowadays available in the market, those who can understand that level of statistics.
Just that you mentioned, the way we decide which store and who will go and collect data from which store. It's like, just imagine running thousands of Uber transactions. You know how you use Uber, right? It's like that powered to I don't know what. So I think that's where I said that we don't talk too much about what we do, but we've been silently doing something about it. Okay.
So whatever Nielsen collect, retail companies, telecom companies, consumer good companies, they are the biggest consumer of their data. And she already talked about petabyte of data, right? So that's the data now which this retail and consumer product company need to manage, then generate insight out of it and apply those insight in the business. So that's another application of data science skill and then data engineering skill.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
before
pretty much are on Azure. We pretty much are on everything. We are all on lakes. So I think the amount of data that is getting injected in different formats into the lake is like at another level. That's why I thought I'll share certain bit of information with you.
No, fantastic. Very, very good insight, Nitya. And we can take questions from audiences before Taranjeet will go for her presentation, final presentation.
So here I would want to add a point what
Yeah, please,
Vinay sir
please.
was mentioning. As far as the experience is concerned, we have been since last 5.5, 6 years, we have been saying everybody, experience is an asset. Upskilling can be done over the same, right? That's the point we have been making. Whereas, domain plays the most important role. So Virendra is aware of the same, I'm fairly sure. The right way of identifying talent is definitely by giving them the kind of test which most of you have been giving. So Nielsen has its own test, SME has its own test. So that's the right opportunity to be given to everybody, and then based on that, the evaluations can be done. And so most of the companies, most of the startups which have come to us had ended up hiring their first data scientist from us or first analyst from us, right? And most founders talk about we have okay, we want to do something with data. So that's the reason we want to come and hire somebody who can do something for us. And all this startup, in fact large organizations also which are planning to have this particular division, comes with these kind of requirements to us. Okay, there is a data, there is a client, now I want to do something with it. So assist us in hiring the best talent. So that has been an interesting aspect of because from my side I understand both the aspects, so I thought I'll just put a point across over here.
Now, Taranjeet, you have been quite helpful to organizations and students, right? Bridging the gap and helping them to really marry each other, right? You have done the phenomenal job. Guys, a question open to all the audiences. If you have any question, please feel free to ask, all right? Uh, okay, so while questions are coming, Babe, I would like to come back where we left that it is, while I have also seen a lot of JDs, right? And the way we design our curriculum, what we have done, we have broken down, we have analyzed thousands of jobs and broken down the job and skill mapping. And we created the repository. And then based on that, we have created our curriculum. So of course, we have the advisory board, and then the advisory board gives us the advices what need to be taught. But at the same time, we have analyzed, like for example, data scientist job, over say 70,000 jobs offered by different companies and broken down what skills each job is requiring. And we created a kind of a map and identified that these are the key skills which is needed. And we have realized that yes, you require statistics, you require linear algebra, you require machine learning, Python, right? You require big data tools as well, right? You require SQL, and created the curriculum, and which was validated by the expert panel as well. And this way, we have also removed the biases which human being brings because of the lack of experience and perhaps more experience, right? Both things bring the biases. That's on one side while designing the curriculum, but other side, while you are releasing the JDs, right, and you have broken down the small pieces of each work, how do you really come down to design the JD, which will eventually goes to the recruiter and they float in the market? And if you can really throw a light on that aspect, that will be great, because what we have seen that a lot of recruiters copy the JD of other company and just float, and they actually don't get any candidate.
I mean, we do it differently. I won't say we do the same method of for every project, every requirement, there is a job description. The way we develop the talent is based on a job role.
Okay.
Okay, so person create a basically his career in a profession.
Okay.
There is a job role which defines a profession. There's a data engineer job role, there's a data scientist job role, similarly consulting job role. Yeah, multiple different job roles.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Once a person get into, for example, as a data scientist job role, there are different skill set. It is the next level of breakup we do. That's why I was saying we try and specialize the people deeply into various technologies because you have to pick and choose, right? You can't be a super data scientist who can
Right.
be taken by any company, right? It's not
You
possible.
can't data scientist.
You
That's
can't
a
do that.
elusive
You have to
term.
pick
Yeah.
your field. I mean, for a Nielsen statistician, even if you have less IT, you can query the data, bring the data together, generate insight, good enough. Yeah. But when you're building a solutions, when you're deploying those solutions, when you're integrating those solutions, you're talking about a different type of data science skill set. Similarly, predictive analytics and all those things which were there earlier is a different skill set. And then there are domain specific knowledge which are needed. For example, fraud. You could be a very good data scientist, you could have a domain knowledge, but if you're not doing fraud, you will not understand that.
Right.
Same as security. Similarly, risk, banking risk, financial risk, market risk, credit risk, op risk, all different areas, right? That's where you deploy. We divide the data scientist into different skill set and then domain, and then we slot them into different areas. So somebody who is very good in managing entire unstructured data pipeline and then creating solutions out of unstructured data, right? So that's a different type of, I would say, a full stack when you call it, right? You're different type of full stack you're looking at.
Right.
That may be different from another full stack guy who is solid on bringing multiple different data set together, structured data, yeah, and then creating something out of it, yeah. So that's how we typically do. We try and plot people into different things depending on the level, and as they grow, obviously 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year down the line, they start grasping multiple different other aspect of data science which is needed for a solution, and then they being part of a particular industry. For example, if they are in financial services domain in banking industry, they will continue like that, and then yeah, that's how they get the domain knowledge. It's a structured process. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, but we make it very clear upfront. You choose your profession. Based on that profession, we decide, okay, he's good for that profession or not. And if there's an attitude, learnability, he keeps on picking new, different skill set as he grow in his career. And obviously, apart from that, I mean, traditional way of doing things, right? There are Udemy courses, your company courses, IBM internal courses, a huge IBM cloud infrastructure available. So many things available to make them keep them providing, I mean, time for learning. Yeah. Those enablers are continuously provided.
So there's a wonderful question from Anjali. When POC don't make it to production, how do you justify team strength and cost? I always say if you do the 10 POC, you'll also lose your job and if you don't get the money. So who would like to take Abhay, Virendra?
No, I'll take that. See, these
Yes.
are very common challenges because now all engagement happen in an agile mode. Yeah. So clients, I mean, whomsoever is holding the purse is also ready with a Caesar to cut the funding at any point in time, right? And nobody do this development or projects like typically IT waterfall type of project. Right? It's not like that. It's all agile now.
Right.
Agile, and then minimum value product is what viable product is what you build, right? So MVP1, MVP2, and you iterate. When you have to keep on trying to do this POCs, then only will suck. If you don't take the first step, you won't succeed also. POCs fail. What we have learned for two important reasons. When you have chosen that business use case, you have not thought about certain parameter. Data obviously is one. Yeah, but apart from that, viability of that business use case.
Okay.
The amount benefit which will be generated out of that use case is sufficient enough the company to put more investment. Everything is possible. I mean, we are talking about now quantum computers, right? So, I mean, you can't put quantum computing horsepower behind a use case which will generate maybe 1 million net benefit in a year. It's very small, right? The cost of quantum computing will be too much. You have to think upfront what use cases or business use case you are taking. So that's the filtering. We have our own methodology by which we filter. Plus, we also encourage, I mean, try fast, fail fast, right? Failing is okay, I mean, it's good, it's learning, right? And you will evolve. But companies are also very open. I mean, all large companies, they are very open. They know they can't innovate in-house. They also bring in multiple diverse, yeah, different companies, expert, consultant, SMEs. Those are the people who choose those maybe one or two or three use case for POC.
Wonderful.
Just add over this. So generally what we do internally in our organization, we try to define our use case very narrowly, right? What we try to do that, will this particular use case will solve my purpose? Is it going to have some other additional thing or not? Okay. So for example, let's say I am trying to implement a voice bot. Okay. And for calling a welcome calling to the customer who has taken new loan from me. So if I try to put this use case to understand customer intent, if he understand this loan account number is this and EMI date is this, only this 3-4 intents, if customer is able to understand, bot is able to interpret and identify right entry, that is all it is needed. If I go for giving some other unnecessary information, if I ask customer to give some information, then use case will vary a lot and then it will not be succeed. So we have to narrowly define our use case, then the failure chances will be less. But again, we have to try by 2-3 attempts, we will be able to convert this.
Sushil, you want to add something?
Yeah, so one point is basically you have to set the expectations, Anjali, as in you are data scientist and you have to understand that failure is a part of it. Scientist, there's a word scientist inside it, right? You don't do some experiment and assume that it will work in the first attempt itself. We worked on a very complex algorithm for more than 6-7 months. Okay, we have failed multiple times. So, but the idea is you have to set the expectation that this particular project is an experiment. Okay, and the failures are bound to happen. Okay, now if it is something, if you set the expectation correctly, right, then that is where no one is going to stop your funding or anything of that sort, right? As in, it's all about that. As in, what is a project charter? You know, if you start correctly on that path, you're all set. If you say, yeah, this is going to happen within a couple of days, and it's you're set out for experimenting, you're bound to fail. So, up to you, Anjali.
Yeah, cost of not acting is very high cost than the acting, right? And if you act, yes, the probability of failure also increases because you have acted. But anyway, that trade-off you have to really do. Now, there's another question from Ashish, and Ashish says, how do you deal with the unrealistic JDs and companies as mentioned by me? Now, who want to really take this? Nitya, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I think it's companies put that because they want to kind of ensure they are catching up on the I'm using all the cool words kind of a thing, right? They want to show they are there. I think it's important to just go deeper when you meet them and not just give up on something because they mentioned everything under the sky. And be clear when you are taking those, when you are clearly calling out, okay, these are what I believe, and this is something I'm kind of subtly, nicely saying,
right.
Finding this person is impossible. It's like Superman, super girl.
We also took an initiative, Nitya, as I was telling, that we have created the knowledge reservoir repository, analyze thousands of jobs, and we try to really define that what data scientists, what kind of skill data scientists actually require, and at what stage of company, right? So data scientist skill set which is required at IBM level or Microsoft or Google level will be quite different than the company which is at a startup level and perhaps the analytical consulting company like Nielsen or a Crystal, right? Or maybe a bank, right? And these skill set changes. I remember like 2015, Nobody was asking natural language processing or deep learning or Hadoop or Spark in data scientist job. But now, if you really see, everybody is asking those skill set, right? They have a lot of AI technology has become the mainstream part of the data scientist skill set, and it is extremely difficult to distinguish between the JD of AI engineer and the data scientist, right? And that's the boundaries are blurring. And we took this initiative, and we have a product which actually helps recruiters to find out the template and see at what stage they are, so that they can really go and post a JD which is relevant, and they are able to really attract the candidate, those who are fitting into that job profile. Taranjeet, now we are closing the session. Would you like to really give a presentation with a closing note?
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
So let's start. How Aegis CMC, as Career Management Center, we assist large organizations, startups, as well as mid-sized organizations in building data science team. So since the inception of this program, we have seen a lot of startups, lot of mid-sized companies, lot of companies talking about data science at the first place. Most of the guys who, as I mentioned, were hired as a first data scientist, but there were certain established organizations. So we, had some process which we definitely followed for students.
Taranjeet, if you can make a full screen, if you can run the presentation.
I'm sorry. Here it is. So what we do for students is career mapping, resume building. So most of the recruiters have always mentioned us that in resume you find various things, okay, which are not relevant. So people talk about their past experiences, their engineering projects, and various different aspects of the same. So we have definitely taken care of the same. And in career mapping, what can be the next step for the student participant? So our participants are right from the age of 22 to 60 years. So that's the kind of experience as well as, freshers we interact with. So we do, complete career mapping for them, resume building, interview preparation, job search, assisting them as far as what can be the next opportunity for them, internships, placements, and consulting. So since the inception, we have been saying the industry that please hire interns, eventually based on their performance, convert them into a full-time role. So initially we had 9 months plus 2 months kind of program, but large organizations have always wanted to have some people full-time, and the program is 11 months now. Still, we suggest startups to always hire professionals as an intern, let them prove themselves, and eventually look at them, and convert them. Virendra has always been doing the same. So any comments, Virendra?
Yeah, so nowadays what happened, not only hiring, retaining the talent is also very important.
Absolutely.
And what I personally practice, I try to hire intern and train them for next 5, 6, 7 months. Okay, so that if any attrition happens, so that they can assume that role. So this is a good strategy for nowadays. At least it's working for me.
Okay, thanks. So we assist and understand the needs of the industry. So there are a lot of one-on-one which happens with HR as well as the tech leads. So we get the standard JD of 10 years experience into deep learning. Recently, I was going through one JD, we need a data science lead, which I was like, 7 years back, I could not find a machine learning faculty in Mumbai. And now I'm talking about 10 years experience in data, deep learning and things like that. So we experience that on day in, day out basis. So the first thing as a lead I have to do is set up the expectations well. Okay, understand what are they exactly looking at, and then suggest them accordingly. Talent acquisition in DS, data science, ML, and business analytics. So most of our professionals are fitting in this layer. When we talk about data architecture, that is a different kind of role, that is a different kind of need which is there. But what we train people at is people who are all-rounders, ideally, as mentioned earlier in the session. So that's exactly where the strength is being created. So startups want one individual to do various things. Companies like Nielsen would need people who can have one particular skill set. So most of our alumni are also working in Bangalore and Baroda, doing statistics and machine learning, right? So those are the kind of areas where we work at and where we can contribute. We do live projects with the industry. We definitely say, you have POCs, let's do it together. So, that aspect can be taken care. In return, our students would learn, right? And you would have the skills for the same.
So Anjali, here is the direct message from Taranjeet. Let me translate it. That if you have a cost pressure, okay, we being an academic institution, you can really pass those POCs, and we don't have a cost pressure, right? We have hundreds of candidates, those who have experience, roughly around 70% of the experience, 30% of the freshers, right? And this is a perfect deadly combination, right? Because freshers, they are ready to really do any kind of experimentation. And we can take up a POC, and we have done a lot of POCs for telcos and banks and various companies and various projects. So you don't have to really worry about that.
So
Yeah.
we are there to assist you for POCs.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest, so 3 years back, I suppose I got introduced to a term called as Google back data scientist. Okay, so there were recruiters who were discussing with me, and they came up with this particular aspect that people are doing take up the algorithm from the Google, put it in the model, and they claim themselves as a data scientist. So that's exactly where we are using our talent assessment and certification services, right? So we definitely assess the talent at our end. Okay, we are using one of the platforms, whereas any individual who, in fact, there is a lot of corporate training happening, okay, within the organization. But when these guys face client interviews, they fail. Okay, that is the biggest challenge which is faced by the industry. So that's exactly where CMC can assist you with talent assessment as well as certification services. We do, have center of excellence. A lot of large organizations, we are working with them for building up center of excellence for them, together doing some interesting projects. Executive education and corporate training, this is one of the areas where everybody is looking at upskilling, and we definitely assist in the same. And lastly, consulting. So recently we came across an incident where the company was mentioning us, we want to hire data scientists, but we don't know where to start from. So that's exactly the point we are starting with them from. First, we will speak to their management, tell them what is data science, ML, set up the right expectations again, right? So most of the time we spend in setting up the right expectations from the students per se and from the industry per se. We have helped 500 plus companies in last few years. And as I mentioned, a lot of our professionals are already working in the industry. So at this given point of time, we have more than 100 alumni who are working in the industry. I believe 100 is a very small number, honestly. So already most of the large organizations would have our alumni working right now. So we have our season initiated. So if you're looking at building up a data science organization, you can directly connect with me on the same. And yes, that's exactly what, where I would want to close this.
Thank you, Taranjeet. And adding to what Taranjeet has said, Taranjeet, can you stop sharing screen? Yes.
Yes.
A lot of people said about this thing that hiring talent and finding the clutter, right? There are so many platforms people are learning, and there are a lot of time is being wasted in terms of really shortlisting candidate. Now we have started this assessment and certification service at Aegis in collaboration with MUni. What we are trying to really do, we have created the CCNAs of exponential technology in a loose terminology. So we have created the multiple certifications, which is like certificate of proficiency for Python and data science, certificate of proficiency for, say, machine learning, certificate of proficiency for deep learning, certificate of proficiency for SQL, for analytics, right? So we have created over 15 certifications, and currently in a beta phase, we are giving this free trial to corporate to really do at least 1,000 assessment without any cost, right? These certifications have been validated on hundreds of candidates internally over last couple of years. And we have very robust technology, which is called MUni Pariksha. We are, by the way, we are a pioneer. Earlier, this company was known for G4 testing. We were the first one We start online examination services way back in 2007 in India. And that company where I was director, we used to recruit candidates for TCS, Capgemini, Hexaware, CSC. And we have designed questions and we have conducted online examination for that, right? So this platform is a MUni platform wherein you have the repository of thousands of questions on machine learning, SQL, deep learning and Python. So at least you will be able to do the basic filtering on their conceptual and theoretical understanding, because sometimes it is very difficult, which I have seen, that you can't really assess candidate just based on the project, right? Because in project, they might have copied the code from, say, GitHub. It is extremely difficult to really assess candidates on multiple skill set because it consumes a lot of time, right? And internally, companies do not have time in terms of really building up the repository, question repository. Since we are being an academic institutions, our faculties are full-time and we have been continuously building up the questions, and our faculty members statistically validate those questions. And this testing platform has got the AI proctoring mechanism, which means that you can actually assess whether it is Sushil appearing for the examination or Taranjeet appearing for the examination, or whether the candidate is holding the mobile phone and talking to somebody else. Safe browser, and couple of those features are there, which most of the testing platforms are there. And we are doing it for hundreds of academic institutions worldwide, including IIMs, NITIs, Goa University and Mumbai University. And our data is also validated. So the idea is that we want to really streamline the whole process and cut the clutter. And then you can actually shortlist candidate and conduct the interviews, or if you want to really conduct the aptitude test and those kind of stuff. We are also giving access to our Seagull platform to all the recruiters, wherein you can actually shortlist candidate which has got the job recommender. So imagine that you posted a job for say 2 years experience in data science, and based on the job posting, our AI recommender, which is built by our students and faculty members, will give you the right relevance data candidate, right? And which can fetch even the data from the alumni. So you don't have to really manually search. So this is end-to-end solution which we are giving. And since the placement season is on, there is no cost associated to the recruiter. And we have a selfish motive that we want to really facilitate the best career options to our candidate, but at the same time, help recruiters to cut this clutter and find the best talent. Thank you so much, Sushil, Dr. Kulkarni, Taranjeet, Virendra, everybody, all the delegates, students, and participants for joining this event. We'll be doing the next event on the 1st April, and that event will be focused on one of the area and one of the most important area for the student perspective and career perspective. How do you get the job in data science and AI, and what actually recruiters are looking? And we will go deep down in that. And instead of a panel discussion, we'll have the solo keynote talks. Do join us on the 1st April for this very focused discussion. And with this note, I express my gratitude. Thank you everybody, and good night.
Thank you.
Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.